Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this particular video, I'd like to discuss my first thoughts and impressions on a trio of 2013 fall anime series that by the end of each first episode, I just didn't feel like there was enough to really dedicate a whole video for. You know, there's some really cool aspects, but overall, I don't know if I'm going to be picking them up, and I may not even stick with them because of all the mobile rigmarole that I have to go through to watch these particular anime series. Now, basically, I wanted to share with you guys the cool aspects that I was really wowed by with these particular three, and the first two of which are very much human versus yokai sort of stories. Yokai, of course, being that great Japanese mythological cast of creatures and beasts and monsters and stuff like that, ghostly stuff, supernatural, you know, from beginning to end. And the first series is Kyoukai no Kanata, and we basically meet the main character, the sort of narrator and main character, a male lead by the name of Akihito, who in the very first few seconds of this particular series, he seemingly saves the life of this really kick-ass and kawaii little chick called Mirai. She is basically one of the clan of warriors, a specific clan. There are many clans apparently of warriors who go up against these yokai creatures and beasts. And her particular clan is kind of outcast because they manipulate blood, and you see her actually wielding a blood-red sword that comes out of the blood from her hand. That's part of her powers. And she's very obsessed with stabbing the hell out of Akihito because he is semi-immortal, being half human and half yokai or beast or what have you. And you have a third character who crops up called Mitsuki, who is a classmate slash clubroom hangout mate with Akihito, who is like part of a lineage of actual legit warriors and stuff like that, a warrior clan. And she's like, you know, my people are saying stay away from her, Mirai, you know, stay away from this little chick who's very goofy, very nerdy, and just really geeky and stuff like that. But also she is high-flying, jumping around like a cricket, you know, on acid, just totally a badass when she wants to be, and she's what really won me over for this first episode. Apart from that, you know, there doesn't seem to be enough to really hook me, but I was impressed with the action set pieces and stuff like that. Now, the second series along the same lines is Yozakura Quartet, Hana no Uta, which is apparently a sort of reimagining of a series of the same name, or at least half the name, Yozakura Quartet, from 2008. And we're following around four primary characters, the title quartet, as it says, Hime, Aoi, Akina, Kotoa, and they are all four girls who have super abilities and powers, and they very much, similar to the previous one I was just talking about, are fighting yokai beasts and stuff. There are portals, these humongous trees in their city that bring forth yokai from another dimension, and some of them don't want to return. Some of them are threats, some of them aren't, and everything like that. In this first episode, you have this lost little blue-eyed, blonde-haired girl who seems to be looking for her parents, and she can't find her way, and she's being introduced to all of these characters. The biggest dismaying aspect to this first episode is there are just a ton of characters. You kind of have to start taking notes with all their names and all their abilities and everything like that, or lack thereof. And of course, there's a sort of cat dude with the kitty ears on top of his head who's like the malevolent guy. He's playing around with them, messing around with them, making these giant fish crop up that they have to use magical abilities. And some of those magical abilities are actually what are the coolest aspect of that particular show. Hime, of course, being the main character in both the 2008 and the modern incarnation. She is sort of the tough chick, and her friends are the ones with the magical abilities, one of which is a shortcut ability that one of them wields, and she creates like giant fish tanks to deal with the giant fish. It's just really cool, very visually stunning, as is the final show I want to talk about today, Kill la Kill. I finally saw the first episode of this, and talk about trippy, uber stylized alternate universe fare, where essentially it's kind of taking place in a not too distant future in a world where the Germans won the Second World War, and fascism reigned supreme the world over. And essentially you have this new girl, Matoi, showing up to this academy that is overrun by just the most sadistic, crazy, over-the-top characters, one being Satsuki, who's like the president. She's this chick who wields a blade, and Matoi is also wielding a blade. It ends up being half of a giant scissor, and it turns out that this once belonged to whoever it was that took her father's life, and she's very much out for revenge. And there's this whole sort of B-level thing where everybody has these Goku school uniforms. Depending on how many stars are featured on those uniforms, they have superpowers and super abilities. And so when Matoi goes in there asking this woman, Satsuki, who she believes to know who the wielder of this scissor was that took her father's life, you have her basically getting her butt handed to her. But she ends up being helped by a mysterious character in sunglasses. It wasn't me. And, she finds this uniform of her own. So she goes back and she goes up, dukes it out with this boxer cat from the school who has a superpowered uniform as well. And she hands this guy his broken teeth and sends him packing. And so basically she's going to be trying to enter the fray of this big academy in this alternate universe sort of setting, which is, again, very visually just in your face, always posting the titles of people and characters as they debut repeatedly, I might add, and a lot of crazy, quirky action and stuff like that. It just looks trippy as hell, and it's definitely one I'm going to want to pick up with again when I have more time and see it all the way through. So these are three top series that I think are definitely worth checking out at least, but at least for me, not so much to stick with for overall episodic reviews and that kind of thing. Hopefully, if I have more time, I'll be able to stick with them all in some capacity or come back to them later and talk about them a little more. But I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you've thought of any of the three of them, if you've seen any of them, and how you're gauging them as far as the mixture of 2013 fall anime series that have been debuting. Otherwise, that'll be it for me. I hope this video finds you well. I'll catch you later. Peace.